The secret to this pretty face is... Shh, can y'all lower the construction noise? Shh, I'm trying to do my tagline. The secret to this pretty face is... Shh, I said quiet with the construction. Yes, no, I want the West Wing done over there. Yes. No, you're doing good. It's just I need to record this. Okay. The secret to this pretty face? Come on now. You know what? Forget this. Hey yo, welcome to my channel. I am Raphael and I am here to review episode 12 of the Real Construction Sites of Potomac. So we start the episode off at Chateau Charade 2.0 and we see Grace and we see Giselle and they're both inside the Gucci car and Grace is driving again. She's trying to maneuver around these orange cones that are lined up the driveway and she's trying to do her best, but Giselle is just like, Grace, stop. But it was way too late because Grace ends up taking out every single orange cones. I mean, they all folded up like a sandwich. I'm like, damn, Grace, were you even trying? I mean, what can we expect? She almost ran over a cameraman last week, so... But, you know, give it some time. Give it a couple months and proper instruction, not from Giselle, and maybe she'll get it right. So as soon as Grace parks the car, Giselle tells her, you're not going to be valeting anybody's car later on because I'm not going to be paying for the damages. Jamal isn't going to be paying for the damages. So just go back inside, drink some juice, go make a sandwich, go lay down, go think about what you've been doing on the road. Go. So then Giselle sees all the construction that's going on in her house. She's saying that the West Wing, she could see it much more clearly. I mean, I don't really see West Wing. I see boneless wing. And she's like, yeah, I'm putting much more decorations outside. She has like this square box thing at the entrance. It's just such an interesting shape for the house. I mean, on the inside, it looks nice, but you would never tell that it looks that way on the inside from what it looks like from the outside. It just looks like a bunch of Lego pieces put together like, oh, this is a big, huge rectangle. Let me put it here. Oh, this is a nice triangle. Let me put it here. Even though the pieces don't fit, you know, like it has potential, but I feel like at this point, Giselle just needs to knock the entire restaurant down because that's what it looks like. It looks like a drive-through restaurant and then just build it from the scratch up. So eventually she calls Robin. Robin tells Giselle, oh yeah, I'm at a basketball tournament right now and I'm spying on Juan because I feel like he's with another woman, but I'm not sure because I'm 3 bleachers behind them and I'm not sure who that person is next to him. So I just have my binocular glasses. What are you up to? And so then Giselle tells Robin that she has everything under control. She has everything together for their event later on because they're doing like this premiere thing for their new podcast, Reasonably Delusional. And she's like, yeah, everything is good. I mean, it's going to be at my house, but it's not going to be at my house. It's going to be in my house, but it's not going to be in my house. You get what I'm saying, Robin? You get it? And Robin's like, no, can you please elaborate? So Giselle is like, well, basically, I have this little section next to my house. There's a bunch of grass, but I'm gonna, you know, maybe cut it with scissors. And I think there's some poison ivy, so we're just gonna have to be careful. And we're gonna put a bunch of tables and chairs and make it look, you know, fancy and everything. Make it look cute. And that's where we're gonna have everything. As long as there's no earthquake, everything should be fine. And she continues to further elaborate with the bathroom situation. And she's like, yeah, you know, I don't really think I'm gonna have Karen or Wendy come into my house to use the bathroom if they need to. I don't think so. They could pop a squat somewhere outside. I mean, there's a little river over there down the street anyway, so they could go there. And I'm actually surprised that Robin did not agree with that because Robin was like, no, Giselle, that is not right. Like, what's going on here? We're not doing that. If you're gonna do that, I don't want any parts of it. And Giselle, you know, Giselle was just not having it. Giselle was like, yeah, no. Karen said that my house was... I don't want to repeat it, but Karen said that my house was like Ronald McDonald lived inside it, and I just don't think it's funny. I completely forgot that Karen had said that at the reunion. I mean, at this point, Giselle, you're just being petty and childish because I could have swore that we apologized, all 3 of you apologized last week and kind of moved on from the situation, but Giselle is holding on to it. She was like, yeah, Karen, you know, Karen is wishy-washy, but Wendy, I'm not over that. I just still feel like, you know, she still has an issue with me. And I'm like, but we apologized last week and we're supposed to start over. So what are we doing? And she's just telling Robin like, yeah, I'm going to have a couple leaves in a bag, you know, just in case if they have to use the bathroom, they could wipe themselves with that. She's like, oh, wait, but Karen is old, so she might need to go inside to the bathroom. So I guess I'll let it slide. I'm like, ugh, Giselle. Just wait till Karen sees that clip. So then we head over to Karen and Ray's house and they get a knock at the door. And I'm thinking, who's this woman that looks like she came out of an 80s music video trying to sell Girl Scout cookies? But apparently this is Karen's publicist. So she's like, oh, I have a bunch of boxes inside with the prototypes to her La Dame candles. And she's like, oh, I'm so excited for it. Bring it here. Actually, let me get Ray to do it. Ray, come over here. And then Ray, you know, he's just waking up from his sleep and everything. And he's like, yeah, what's going on? You want me to carry what? But my back hurts. Oh, you don't care? Okay, let me go outside. So Ray goes outside. He puts on his fuzzy slippers. He's trying to, you know, grab the box from the trunk. And I'm like, oh my goodness, somebody help. Production crew, somebody, Andy, anybody. I mean, if I was Karen, I would have gotten a cameraman or somebody else besides Ray. I mean, poor Ray almost had his back blown and everything, just trying to pick up that heavy ass box with all those candles inside. And he's just like, I'm coming. I'm coming. They go inside the house and the publicist shows the candle to Karen and she's like, look, this is the packaging. This is the marketing. This is how it's going to look. It looks cute. It looks nice. And Karen continues to throw shade at Wendy. She's like, yes, you know, I have the 3-wick candle and she has the 1. And I could tell that in her confessional, she's trying so hard not to laugh, you know, because she doesn't want to make it look like she's throwing a dig at Wendy. And she's like, yeah, you know, let me tell you, publicist. So I have this one friend, Wendy, and just between me and you, she has this candle line and she thinks that she could compete with the Grand Dame and it's just not gonna happen, you know? And I think it's funny. I think it's cute. I think, you know, maybe Bed Bath & Beyond, maybe Target will, you know, get her candles, maybe TJ Maxx or something, but, you know, it's not gonna be like my Grand Dame candles. You know, mine's the 3-wick candle and it's gonna be in Louis Vuitton stores and Gucci stores and all that. I want all the fine stuff. So then the publicist is like, oh, okay, well, yeah, I don't know who Wendy is, but I'm assuming she's your friend from what you're telling me. So are you going to pay me for today? Because I need to go. So then Karen and Ray go outside and they start talking and discussing. And then Ray gets a notification on his phone and he's just looking at it like, let me adjust my glasses. I see. Are these breasts? Like, what is this? And Karen is like, what is that, Ray? What's going on? Who texted you? What's going on? Let me see your phone. I see nipple. I see nipple. What is that? What's going on? And Ray's like, no, nothing. It's nobody. It's just, I think it's just, I don't know. How do you delete these messages? Fuck. Let me just turn this off. And Karen snatches the phone and she's like, no, let me see it. Good morning, handsome. So who is this? Who's the bitch? Who is it? Who is she? And Ray is like, no, I don't know who that is. It's just, I think it's just spam or something. I don't even know how to use an iPhone. You know, I'm still trying to adjust to the iPhone 7, so I don't really know. Do you need help with anything else around the house? Let's go talk about your candle inside. Come on. And Karen is like, no, I'm gonna call her. So she's like, hello? Yeah, I'm Mrs. Huger. Yes. Do you want to buy a candle? No? Okay, so then you're wasting my man's time too. Yeah. And your name is what? Oh, wait, this is the voicemail. This is Mrs. Huger. Me and Ray are happily married, and we're going to have our anniversary wedding soon, so you're not invited. But if you want to buy a candle, you could call this number back. Other than that, please do not text my husband, good morning, handsome, again, okay? Thank you very much. Click. Then Ray tells Karen, oh, she's too young anyway. What am I going to do with that? And Karen is like, what? Like, Ray, what are you really trying to say? Are you hiding something? Do you have a mistress? So then we head over to Candace's house where we see the new friend of the show who's competing to get her own flute of champagne for next season. And we see Dorothy. She's in the kitchen and Candace comes down and she's like, yeah, my mom was here for support of my new music video, but she needs to go. She needs to go. Her job here is done. And by the way, did y'all check out her new album? I believe it's called Deep in My Tissue Box or something like that. Deep Space. Her new album, Candace's new album. I heard it's out. I need to check it out at some point. So then Candace asks Dorothy, so what's been going on with you and Mia? What exactly did Mia ask you? And what did you say? What was your part in that conversation? And all of a sudden, Dorothy had no recollection of anything. She's like, huh? What? No, I don't remember anything. No. Was it raining that day? Well, no. I just remember we were in a parking lot, I think, right? Were there cars? I don't know. Who's Mia? Like, Dorothy, you are such a liar. And the worst part is, I would love to have seen how Candace and Chris reacted to watching this episode, possibly together, because absolutely not. If I was Chris, no. I will probably not ever talk to her again. Like Dorothy, I would never talk to Dorothy again after seeing that episode. I mean, you dragged me the entire time on your daughter's own music video set, you know, and it's very disrespectful. And speaking of, here comes Santa Claus. He walks into the kitchen, he sits down next to Dorothy, and Candace continues talking to Dorothy, and she's like, I just don't agree with Mia's questioning. You know, the conversation that she had with you was very inappropriate, especially at my own music video set. And I agree. I mean, Mia came over. I mean, did she make good TV? Yes. But I still feel like her questions could have, you know, been asked at a later time or maybe not at all. And Dorothy didn't have to be messy and, you know, continue answering to her like she did. And now all of a sudden she doesn't know anything. And Candace is just like, Mia needs to stay over there at her chiropractor stripper LLC business and crack some backs. And I'm like, ooh, a chiropractor stripper LLC. That sounds like a good job. Let me Google it and see if they're taking any applications. Because that sounds good. But I'm like, okay, what's with this whole stripper shaming? I feel like this has been a thing the entire season. I mean, who cares if Mia was a stripper or X, Y, and Z? I don't understand why they continue trying to downplay Mia with that specific thing. I mean, out of all the things you could say about her, they constantly pick on this whole, oh, she's a hoe, she's a stripper, she used to take off her clothes, she sells this for money. Like, who cares? You know, like, I don't understand why we have to go there. But Chris makes it very clear to Dorothy, and he's like, no bill that has been on my name has ever had your name attached to it. And she's like, well, okay, well, as long as the prenup is, you know, there, it's fine or whatever. I guess that's the contract. I could see why people would get the whole business manager and emotional manager thing mixed up. And I'm like, Candace, you need to put your foot down at some point with your mom. She continues to, you know, be in the middle of your marriage. And it's just like, I just don't see Chris in the long run dealing with that. I mean, I'm surprised he dealt with it this long, but if that continues, I could definitely see them separating at some point, unfortunately. Then we have this scene with Mia and her family and her mom and her children. They're all together at the ice cream shop. Their plans that they made last week, they're making it come true this week. And I feel like this conversation that Mia was having with her mom, I just feel like Mia's just being a little too hard with her mom. I mean, you are just reestablishing your relationship with your own mother, I believe, if I'm correct. And you're asking for too much way too quickly. You know, just let the relationship between you and your mom just flow naturally. You know, she's also dealing with certain things, and you can't expect her to change her whole life dynamic or her whole life schedule just because you want a relationship in your specific way. You know, like, everything just cannot revolve around what you want, you know, because your mom also has wants, and she has had a troubled past. And apparently Mia also lets us know too in her confessional that she was in jail, and then she went to rehab, and then she got out. And the producer's like, so wait, how long was she in there, and what exactly did she go to prison for? And Mia's like, well, I really can't discuss it, but I'm very curious also to know, like, what exactly did happen to put her mom in there? And, you know, again, Mia is just asking for way too much, and the mom has her own demons and her own skeletons that she's also fighting with, even up to this point, maybe. And she doesn't like that the fact that her sister, Rashida, is having a closer relationship with her mom. Her mom is always dependent on her. Rashida's always depending on her. Even though the relationship that she has with her other daughter, Rashida, and the whole codependency thing that they have with each other may not be the healthiest, you can't just expect her to, you know, 100% get rid of that. You know, it's slowly baby steps with you. And, you know, Mia's like, well, just because I have my life together doesn't mean that I don't want time for my own mom. And again, you just have to understand. That's all I'm gonna have to keep saying is, like, you have to understand that your mom is her own person too. And just like she said, just give it time, and over time, you know, everything will be better. And, you know, be lucky that she's even in front of you right now, and she's healthy and she's well and she's fine to sit in front of you and have ice cream with your family. You know, that's a step right there. Karen goes to visit Wendy at her house, and they're in the kitchen, and Karen was quick to bring up the whole candle conversation. She's like, yeah, Wendy, I mean, my 3-wick candle is just so amazing. I saw the product earlier, and it's just so beautiful. I cannot wait. It has 3 wicks. Did I tell you it has 3 wicks? Yeah, it has 3. Not 1, not 2, but 3 wicks. That's 2 plus 1 wicks. Yes, anything underneath 3 wicks is just disgusting. I think it's poor. I think it's humiliating. I think it should be thrown in the garbage. No other candle is going to compete with mine. And Wendy's just like, But I have 1 wick. Never mind. It's just gonna be such a successful candle, Wendy. I mean, it has 3 wicks. What else can you want? What else can you want? Oh, wait, don't you have 1 wick? Oh, yeah, no, I'm sorry. No, what I meant is that we can all be successful. There could be enough space for 2 strong, successful women in the candle business. No, it's fine. And Wendy was just looking at her like, bullshit. Yes, I know. So anyway, let's talk about Charity. She She's like, I partnered up with this charity and I want to give back to teachers and educators because, you know, they don't get enough respect. They don't give enough stuff. I don't want to dig into their pockets. So I'm just going to have these backpacks full of materials that they can use in the classroom. And I know that Karen was probably just sitting there like, how can I turn this backpack idea into a product of mine, into my Ladam empire? Maybe Ladam backpacks and they could have like gold straps on them? No, Wendy, I like the idea. Let's do charity. And then Escala also shows up to Wendy's house to help Karen and Wendy put all the items inside the bags. But Karen was quick to change the conversation. She was like, yeah, give me a pencil box. Yeah, okay, I think this bag is done. Anyways, fuck these kids. So let's talk about the music video drama. She got straight to it. She's like, so Escala, tell me what happened. I mean, it was intense, right? With the whole Mia situation and Dorothy was there being a video vixen. It's just crazy, right? Like, what exactly happened? I'm still a little shook by everything. I mean, it's insane. And then Escala goes in to tell her like, oh yeah, did y'all see the invitation that Giselle sent to us? I mean, it was kind of funny how it said, oh, dear haters and friends. And I'm like, of course, Giselle, again, being petty, sending the whole hater thing. I mean, of course, she's talking about Wendy and Karen. And even Wendy said to herself, like, why are we putting that on the invitation, knowing that just last week we apologized, we tried to move forward, we're trying to, you know, start fresh with each other. And here you are going again, just like a Throwback Thursday photo, trying to move back. Like, why are we doing this, Giselle? But Wendy comes up with the next best thing and she tells Karen and Escala, look, Andy emailed me this morning and he said that I need to plan out a huge girls trip and include everybody's husband because we're kind of nearing the end of the season and we need to have at least one more trip. We need to have extra footage. You know what I'm saying, Karen? And Karen is like, yeah, I get you. So when do you want to do it? Wendy tells Karen, oh, I want to do it the weekend before your wedding renewal and I want to have everybody's husband there, but I'm not really sure who Giselle is going to have there. I mean, who will she bring? Will she bring, you know, her backpack, her suitcase? And they're like, wait, if Robin goes, do you think that Juan is going to show up? Or what do you think is going to happen there? And Karen is like, no, he's probably not going to show up. Robin is probably going to go and she'll probably show up like, I am so mad that Juan Dixon is not here. At this point, her life coach has a better chance at showing up on the trip than Juan does. Then we finally get to Chateau Charest for Giselle and Robin's event that they're having for their podcast. Everything is set up outside and the Shady Ass producers, they zoomed in on the balloons flying away. The balloons were flying away. They were being scraped across the floor. The posters with Giselle and Robin's promotional work, they were on the stands and they were flying over. They were struggling putting it on. It was just hilarious to see. I mean, the event itself, it looked cute. I loved everything about it. It's just the location of it was wrong. You know, it was just not the right place for it. But I love the couches, the huge couch throne thing that Robin and Giselle had to sit on. I love that. I love the curtains. Everything about it was cute. Again, it was just the wind and everything else. That was a hot mess. Giselle also explains to us why one of her foot has a boot on it. And she's like, yeah, Jamal has told me so many lies that I have them scattered all over the floor at my house. And every morning I wake up and I step on a new one and it's just very painful. So my foot, unfortunately has to be in a boot for now, you know, but it'll get better eventually. And she's sitting down, she's eating the food and her daughters, of course, her daughters are not going to let up from Giselle. They're like, Mom, stop chewing like that. You're chewing like a cow. Close your mouth when you're eating. And then one of the daughters is like, Mom, I think that the wind is way too strong. I mean, it's just way too strong. And then all of a sudden you see another poster with Giselle and Robin's face on it just flying down to the floor. And then I think we saw Kathy Hilton's butler, Patrick, you know, he's picking it up. He's like, oh, let me get down and get it. I mean, the whole event was hilarious from the start. And of course, Robin decided to dress in all snakeskin for her outfit. I'm like, if that doesn't tell you who she is, then I don't know what else does. Ashley shows up and I completely forgot that she was even on the show. Was it just me? I mean, I'm like, who's this woman in the green? Oh yeah, it's Ashley. I forgot that she was married to her creepy husband. She shows up and she's like, oh wow, so this is the house. She gets there and she's like, hey, Giselle, how are you? Oh my God, what's wrong with your foot? So Giselle starts explaining to Ashley what happened with her foot and she's just like... Giselle was just like, shh, can y'all do construction just a little bit quieter? Then Mia shows up and she's like, yeah, this is not looking like a hotel. It's looking like a motel. I'm like, Mia, just go sit your ass down and have a glass of champagne or a cookie or something. And then Ascala shows up and she's like, hey, I'm wearing pink. And, you know, I'm wearing pink too for this party. And she's like, hey, Giselle, what's going on? Oh, what's going on with your boo? Like, what is this? You're giving me Diana Ross, Giselle. And Giselle was just like, oh, really? You think I'm Diana Ross? I thought I was giving more Beyonce, more Sasha Fierce. And I'm like, now, Giselle. I mean, Giselle, if you're Beyonce, I'm Ricky Martin. Ascala's like, oh, you think so? I mean, Beyonce, she would have wore a high heel with this. She wouldn't be wearing a boot. Wendy shows up next with a bottle of Moet and she gives it to Giselle and she's like, oh, what happened to your foot? What is that? You know, if I was Wendy, I would have been like, oops, I'm so sorry. I stepped on it. I'm so sorry, Giselle. I was trying to get to my seat and you just happened to be in my way. I'm sorry. You should have never called me a hater. Then Karen shows up and she's pulling up with her car and she sees the tent where they're all at and she's like, wait, what are we doing? Are we doing COVID testing? When I tell you this episode was so hilarious. She gets out of the car, she goes to join everybody. She's like, oh, Giselle, what's going on? What is this? Everybody's just questioning what's going on with Giselle's foot, right? She gives her the candle. She's like, oh, here's this huge package deal. And then here comes Robin in her confessional. I wonder if Karen took the candle idea from Wendy and heard that Wendy was going to do a candle idea and just decided to incorporate that into her own business. We also see Wendy on the side looking at Karen give Giselle her candles and she's just like, this fake ass bitch. That was supposed to be my idea and she stole it. Oh, hey, Karen. How are you? Yeah. Karen also tells the group that she just got the vaccine and she's a little bit, you know, off, a little woozy. And I completely get it because I believe it was the first shot or the second one. I'm not sure which one it was, but whoo, that one had my head spinning round and round. I'm like, who am I again? So she sits down and then Giselle proceeds to start talking and she's like, hello, welcome. Yes, so, you know, so many people, aka 3 people, were begging for me and Robin to make a podcast. So we finally made one. And, you know, today's event almost didn't happen. And they're like, wait, why? What happened? What's going on? And they're like, well, you know, me and Robin almost got into it and, you know, we almost broke up and stuff and she almost didn't come to my house last night to do that thing with her tongue. But, you know, eventually we squashed everything and she just didn't agree with me with the whole bathroom thing and 2 people were excluded from using the bathroom inside my house. And they're like, wait, who? Because they were all looking around like, wait, what kind of crazy ass demand is that? You know, that is insane to say to this group. Like, how do you say that to somebody? And they're like, oh, well, I mean, it was you, Wendy, and you, Karen. You know, both of you were not going to come into my house. That's what Giselle says. And Wendy's like, oh, well, that's funny that you say that because I wasn't going to come to the event anyway. And then Giselle tries to flip it on her as if what she said was something bad. She's like, wait, what's going on? What's tea? Like, what, Giselle? Like, what, you just expect them to be okay with that? And then Wendy's like, no, yeah, I was debating not coming here because, you know, I don't know. I didn't feel right. And Giselle was like, well, I personally just didn't want you in my house because you made fun of it. I mean, Karen, you did too, but, you know, we kind of buried the hatchet. You know, you got me the little candle that I'm going to use in my kitchen later. But you, Wendy, you're a whole different situation. And it's just insane to me. I'm telling y'all, it's so insane to me how they were friends last season. And now here we are. And Giselle is just like, really, like, she's just like on board on the bus. And she just wants to run Wendy right over. Like, she just threw her right underneath the bus. And she's just chewing her up, or at least trying to, because Wendy was just like, well, I didn't make fun of your house. I made fun of your fashions. I'm like, yes, Wendy, give it to her. That's exactly how you do it. And then Giselle was like, wait, my fashions? No. I think you're just jealous of my house. And then Wendy was like, jealous? Jealous? Jealous of this? I'm like, yes, Wendy. She said, jealous of this? And then the shady ass producers, they zoomed out to the house. We just see a bunch of construction shit all over the floor. As soon as Wendy had finished telling Giselle that, Giselle just looked so stuck in the face as usual. She was just like, she had nothing to say. And Wendy's like, well, I wasn't going to come because of that shady invitation, the whole haters and friends thing. Like, what is that supposed to mean? And then Giselle is like, well, I mean, it's supposed to be shady. It's supposed to be a shady invitation because that's the name of our podcast. So that's the whole theme. Duh, we didn't know what a whole nude interlude thing was at the beginning of the season, and we still showed up, right? But Wendy made it clear to Giselle, well, I showed up here, didn't I? You showed up to my nude interlude, and I'm fucking here too, right? So that's that. And then here comes Robin. Oh, I just feel like you're taking it way too personal, and it's just really not that serious. And you just, stop, Wendy. You're just taking it way too personal. I'm like, Robin, stop. Like, what you should be taking personal is, well, Juan be telling you every single morning about yourself, but you don't take that personal, right? You just let that slide. So again, there she goes again, jumping into Giselle's battles again. Mia also added her 2 cents on the invitation idea, and she's like, well, Giselle, I like the idea. I personally like the invitation. And I'm like, well, of course you would. It wasn't targeted to you. It was targeted to Karen and Wendy. It wasn't targeted to you. But regardless, Karen tells Mia, can you come over? We're going to go for a walk by the parking lot over there, you know, over there where there's a bunch of flies. So they head over, and Karen is like, so I heard, you know, from somebody that you were talking to Dorothy, and what's going on with that? And Mia was like, Wendy told you about this? And Karen is like, well, yeah. And Mia's like, well, I don't understand why Wendy is telling you any of this. She needs to mind her business. I was talking to Dorothy. And I'm like, well, you weren't talking to Dorothy. You were more like being nosy with Dorothy. You were grilling her with questions that were inappropriate at the time. So you weren't really just having a casual conversation. You were just snooping around for information that didn't belong to you. So Giselle brings up this game idea, and she gives all of the women paddles that says Shady on one side and Reasonably on the other. And they're going to play a game where Giselle's going to ask a question, and they're going to have to answer like, oh, is the question shady or would they consider it reasonable? So the first question is, oh, is it okay to hold a grudge even after somebody has apologized? AKA a question towards Karen. And, you know, Karen already knew it was towards her. Giselle made it known. She was like, this is for you. And, you know, they kind of laughed it out like, haha, like, it's fine, it's whatever, like, it's understandable. So then the second question is where things started to heat up a bit, because Giselle's like, so is it okay for you to talk about a friend when they're not there? And they all hold up their paddles, and Wendy's like, oh, no, that's shady. And then, you know, Skylar's like, well, it depends certain situations or certain conversations. It depends what is being said. And Giselle's like, well, Wendy, you know, at the music video, you told Candace about what Mia was doing with Dorothy. So that wasn't cool, right? That was a little bit shady. And I don't think that you should do that to a friend. And Wendy was just looking back at Giselle like, well, I was being a good friend. I was just telling Candace what was going on. I mean, I didn't like what Mia was doing with Dorothy. So, and Mia jumped in, and Mia's like, well, I mean, if you didn't like what I was saying, why would you say it right then and there, knowing that it might mess her up a bit, like mentally? And I could kind of see what Mia was trying to say. I mean, imagine if Wendy would have told this information to Candace before anything was filmed, right? The music video was filmed. And then Candace would have been upset, and she would have like maybe stormed off on Mia or her mom, or maybe she would have, you know, who knows what could have happened that would have messed up the whole video production. And Wendy could have told her the same information maybe the next day, you know, try not to put like a dark cloud over the whole music video idea. So I could understand what she was trying to say, but at the same time, I'm like, well, if I see something shady, I'm gonna tell my friend right then and there at the moment. You know, I don't know, it's a sticky situation. And all at the same time, we see Candace finally pulling up in her car. And there goes the shady editing, because we hear fly music every 5 seconds. Like, she's like, oh, you know, I felt like she was about to do the Macarena like for a second. She just kept hitting everything around that kept buzzing. She's just running around like... And they put in like this dramatic effect and this dramatic music to make it look like she's like running away in a jungle or something. Candace finally shows up to the tent, and she sits between Giselle and Mia, and they're like, oh, it's funny that you just got here. We were just talking about you. And Candace is like, wait, what's going on? Giselle's like, well, we were just talking about what Wendy told you at the music video and how she was tattletelling or being shady or being a good friend to you. I mean, what do you think? And Candace is like, no, she was being a good friend because she was telling me about what this one on the left was saying to me about, well, telling about me to my mom. So I don't think what Wendy was doing was shady at all. And here comes Robin jumping into the conversation again. And she's like, Candace, I just don't think that that was the right time for Wendy to be telling you that type of information. I mean, you were in the middle of your 1-2 step like Sierra, and here she comes trying to rain down on your parade at your music video. And Wendy is trying to get her point across to Robin, but Mia is like, well, at this point, Wendy, you're just making it about yourself. You're just being selfish. And she touches Wendy on the shoulder, and Wendy's like, don't touch me. She's like, do not touch my shoulder. And Mia's like, well, you're sitting too close. I suggest you move over then. And she's like, no, this is my shoulder pads. They're here for a reason. I'm like, ooh. You know, and she had a paddle in her hand. Nope, if I was Wendy, pop. Oh, Giselle, you want to talk too? Pop. Candace proceeds to tell Mia, oh, not only did Wendy tell me, but my mom also told me, but other people may have told me that you just approached my mom, you know, Mama Dorothy. And she's like, you just approached her and was asking who pays the bills at my house and how my titties look. And I'm like, wait. Now, where did that come from? Because I was so confused. I'm like, wait, did I miss that part last week? I mean, who said that? You know, Wendy, I'm pretty sure that wouldn't come out of her mouth. So I'm assuming that Dorothy has something to do with that lie, because no way, I mean, not on film at least that we heard, did Mia ask Dorothy, oh, how does Candace's titties look? Like, what? Like, what kind of question is that? So random and out of place. She continues on with asking, why would she try to rain on her parade and try to bring that type of energy to the music video? Something that, you know, Candace cares so much for. And Wendy's like, oh, it's because she's whack. She's like, oh, well, I'm sorry. I just said that because you called me that. My type of petty. And then Mia's like, well, I mean, I wanted to show up for support, and it's just like, I just didn't have a dressing room, and nobody, you know, was there to valet my car or anything, and I just felt like it was kind of like a low budget, you know, I wasn't showing up to anything low budget. And Candace was quick to come back at her, and she was like, your mom is low budget. I'm like, yikes. I'm like, yikes. Like the quickness with Candace with her mouth. I'm like, now see, if Mia would have thrown a glass of champagne at Candace, like, I would not have been upset about it, because, like, you know, like, with us knowing the history with Mia and her mom, I mean, I'm surprised Mia kept her cool. I mean, kudos to her, because, you know, not everybody would have kept their composure the way Mia did. And Candace did tweet out, and she said, oh, when she said that comment about, you know, her mom being low budget, she said that she didn't know the whole background, the history with Mia and her mom, and the history with her drug problems, and, you know, all of that. So that's what she tweeted. So I don't know if it's true or not, but even Giselle had to comment on that in her confessional, like, ooh, wait a minute, Candace, take it down a couple notches, you know, talk about her big feet, her hands, everything else. But her mom, you know, that's just a little bit too much, because let's say Mia had replied to Candace like, oh, okay, my mom is low budget. Well, your mom is toxic and she doesn't like you or your husband, and she's waiting for you and your husband to, you know, divorce or whatever. Then what? You know, what if Mia would have played that game and would have low-blowed Candace with her own mom joke? You know, then how Candace would have felt then. Candace would have been very upset if, you know, Mia would have talked about her mom. So I don't know. What do y'all think? Do y'all think it was a bit too much? I just feel like, yes, Candace was in the right to come back at Mia for calling her music video low budget, but at the same time, Candace always goes for the low blows, you know? Like, it's such a sticky situation, because I agree, Candace was, you know, being nice and just inviting everybody over to her music video with no bad intentions, just to have a good time, and Mia just had to be messy, along with Robin and Giselle. But, you know, at the same time, it's just, she always comes back as somebody, you know, with a low blow. You know, I don't know. It's a sticky situation, because I could see it from her perspective, but at the same time, I'm just like, oh, it's a bit too much. So it's just, you know, what do y'all think? Do y'all think sometimes Candace goes too far? Maybe she should keep a, you know, surface level, like Giselle said, you know, make fun of her legs and feet or whatever, I guess, you know, and not her mom. Because again, if somebody was to make fun of Dorothy, woo, there will be hell to pay. Mia continues on with her excuses on why she asked Dorothy all these questions. And she's like, well, the only question that I asked was how much Chris was making. That's the only thing I asked. But I honestly, Candace, I just feel some type of way that I didn't get paid for this. I didn't even get a booking fee for this. I was literally just an extra, and I didn't get paid. There was no management there. It was so unprofessional. So next time, please don't do this to me. Like, it was totally not cool. And Candace is just like, you were supposed to be there as a friend to support. And again, I agree with Candace, because Candace was just being nice and invited everybody for a good time, and everybody else decided to, you know, talk shit behind the cameras and behind Candace's back. So Giselle,
Robin,
and Mia are the three that Candace should be coming for, but apparently she's only coming after Mia because all three of them were being messy at the music video and asking inappropriate questions or giving their little inputs on Chris and Candace's financial status. And here comes Ashley pulling a Robin and jumping in, and she's like, well, you shouldn't be that upset because at least you're bringing it to the group. And then Candace is like, were you there, beloved? Were you there? No? Okay, then so shut the fuck up. She said, case closed. And I agree. I mean, Ashley, you're jumping into something that you have no idea what happened. Giselle was also quick to point out Karen, like, oh, Candace, I think Karen also said something slick at the music video too. I think you should question her. But Wendy had Karen's back. Wendy was like, no, Giselle, why are you pointing out Karen when you should be pointing out you and Robin first? Like, what's going on with that? So Candace was like, oh, so you were also saying something too? Like, what was that about? But Giselle owned up to it, and Giselle was like, well, yes, you know, I mean, we didn't ask anything. I mean, we did want to know the answer to the question, though. So I did think it was a little shady. And then she put the little paddle up. And Candace's like, I just don't understand why, you know, all my financial needs with Chris, like, why is that an issue? And Robin is like, well, I don't think it's a bad question to ask. I mean, I've been underneath Juan's payroll and he pays for my hats and everything because nobody buys them because, well, they're just not selling good. And I have a factory full of them. So I understand, Candace, what that's about. And I'm like, Robin, just stop. Like, everybody needs to stop because, again, Candace did a nice thing by inviting everybody to her project, and look how it turned out, a hot, shady-ass mess. Like, it was just so wrong. Candace turns her attention back over to Mia, and she's like, I can't believe that you had the audacity to tell my mom, Dorothy, all these questions and these comments, and I just can't believe it because I was genuinely trying to be a friend to you, and while all these other hoes were trying to gang up on you and call you a hoe, trying to call you a stripper, you have the nerve to call me, my project, a low budget. And then we hear Giselle whisper, I mean, we were in the parking lot. It wasn't high budget. Giselle with her comments, and I'm like, Candace, you didn't hear that? Like, I mean, Giselle was sitting right next to you, and you didn't hear that smart-ass comment come out of her mouth? And then speaking of, Karen, she's like, did she just call us hoes? Well, I am certainly not a hoe. So then the last shady question is, do you think it's okay to question your friend when they have certain procedures done to their body when you hear that there's cheating rumors in their marriage? And I'm like, of course, this is directed to Wendy. For some reason, we don't know. And Candace is just like, I'm done with this. And so was I. I'm like, why are we doing this again? You know, I get it that we were trying to play a shady question game. But then again, Giselle, you took it too far with this one because we already, you know, kind of put a pin on this. And I don't understand why we're bringing this up again. And Giselle holds up her paddle and she's like, well, I just think it's reasonable. I think it's a reasonable question and assumption to assume that. And Wendy's like, well, I think it's a reasonable assumption as well if the same blog wasn't the same one that reported that you had an STD. I'm like, damn, Wendy, like, she was coming at her and Robin correctly. And Giselle was just like, well, I don't. Ashley just continued to tell Wendy, oh, it wasn't done in a malicious way. It wasn't done to harm you, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, Ashley, it's not up to you how she feels. It's up to Wendy and how she feels. If she feels some type of way, or if she feels like they were saying it in a malicious type of way, or in some type of way to her feelings, then that's valid. That's legit. It's not about Ashley. This is not the Ashley show. This is not Ashley and her feelings. You know, what you feel is what you feel, and you need to stay over there. You know, like Candace said, were you there, beloved? Did you feel this, beloved? No. And then Robin in her snake skin outfit, she was like, Wendy, you need to chill. Like, Wendy, you need to relax. No, you're raising your voice way too much, Wendy. Relax. And I'm like, where? Like, what show are we watching? I mean, I was waiting for the clip. I'm like, where's Wendy raising her voice and acting up? Like, I don't understand. And Wendy's like, stop telling me to chill. I am talking to you very calmly. You're the one that's coming at me crazy. And she's like, I've been talking to you with a lowered voice the entire time. And it's true, Wendy has been talking back and forth with Giselle and Robin and the whole group quietly the entire time. And I don't get what Robin was trying to get at, because Wendy was not being hyped. She was not raising her voice. She was talking and replying back to Giselle and Robin's shady ass questions that were obviously pointed at her. What is she supposed to be? Just sitting there like, oh, okay, I'm a sitting duck. Just come in and attack me. Like, no, Wendy has a right to defend herself and to say her input too. So just because you say something shady to me, I'm not supposed to say something shady back to you. No, it doesn't work that way. And I'm glad that Wendy, you know, she spoke what she said and she defended herself correctly. I didn't like what Ashley said either, her trying to jump in like, this is not about you. This is between Wendy and Giselle and Robin and Giselle trying to make Wendy seem out like she's like, oh, she's acting up. She's acting crazy at this event. Like, oh no, we need security. Like, what? She was so calm, you know, and Robin, out of all the people, you're the one that we've seen this season act up and raise your voice like insanely, especially at the pajama party. Let's not forget you were like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything? Like, let's not forget that you're the one that's always raising your voice every single time. Even on the trip when Wendy called you and Gisela, you were the first one to raise your voice and get all loud with everything. So just because Wendy's sitting here replying to you calmly does not mean that she's not acting chill and that she needs to chill. As Wendy is trying to explain her point to the group, Robin continues calling her names and she's just like, Wendy, you are acting like such an asshole right now. Wendy, you are such an asshole. Wendy, you are a huge asshole right now. And I'm like, Robin, the asshole that you should be calling asshole is your husband, Juan. That's who you really should be calling an asshole for everything he drags you through every single day. But yet you're quiet to that, right? But you're so quick to point out certain names to Wendy, but not your own husband, right? Wendy finally makes her point across and Giselle still has questions and she's just like, Wendy, wait, what? And Wendy's like, well, I wasn't talking to you right now, so shut your ass up. I'm like, ooh, yes, Wendy, get her. And Giselle's like, you know what? No, you need to go. You need to go, Wendy. You need to leave. How about you just go? Like, you're disrespecting me in my house and it's just way too much. And Wendy's like, well, you and Karen were just fighting at my house and that's okay. And Giselle's like, well, I wasn't fighting with you. I was fighting with Karen. And Karen, she held on to what Giselle said, and she's like, wait, we're inside your house? That's how you know Giselle's a little, you know, off in the head because we're outside. We're on public property. Escala also jumps into the conversation with Robin and Giselle, and she's like, both of you, that question that you're asking is very inappropriate and very offensive. So what do you expect Wendy to do? She has to defend herself. And then here comes Mia, and Mia's like, well, what are you, the mediator? Like, what is this? And then Escala goes off on Mia, and she's like, if I was you, I would just sit down and sit your ass right there with your whole ass. And that's where she lost me. I'm like, yeah, no, Escala. You know, I was with you with, you know, putting Mia in her spot, but then what is the point of you calling her a hoe? Again, I just don't understand. Just because you don't like her or whatever does not mean you have to call her a hoe because of her past, because she was a stripper, she used to do X, Y, and Z, so what? But at the same time, Mia is such a hypocrite because she's like, oh, so now we're calling women hoes? Oh, so much for women empowerment. That's what I do. I empower women. And I'm like, no, you don't, Mia. No, you do not. I mean, you might to a certain extent, but what you were doing and bandwagoning with Giselle and Robin, the other episode where you were body shaming Wendy, that wasn't women empowerment, right? You had all the questions there like, oh, you know, Wendy, I just don't think that women should be dressing that way. I feel like, you know, you're a reporter and you're dressing all sleazy and stuff. So that wasn't woman empowerment, right? That was slut shaming in a way. So I don't really get what Mia was trying to say with that. I'm like, Mia, stop. Because you say one thing and then you do another the next episode. No, no, no. Karen finally burst out and she's like, Wendy, I think we need a girls trip. Hurry up because Andy's texting me right now that you need to announce this to the group quickly. And Wendy's like, oh, okay, fine. I'll do it now. So yeah, I was going to invite everybody on a girls trip and, you know, to bring your husband and everybody could bring your husband. You know, Karen is going to bring Ray, hopefully. And then Ashley, you're going to bring Michael. And then Candace is like, I hope not. I mean, we all hope so too. And then she looks over at Robin and Robin, you're gonna bring your hat collection. Giselle, you're gonna bring Casper the Ghost, and yeah, Candace is gonna bring Chris, and so on. You know, you know, Robin got in her feelings. She's like, it's just so disrespectful how I just can't believe she doesn't see me and Juan as, you know, real relationship. Like, this is terrible. I thought me and Juan were relationship goals. Isn't what me and him have? Like, isn't that what everybody wants? I thought we were relationship goals. What happens? And I'm like, you see, Robin, you don't like when somebody else is being, you know, mean or shady to you, right? But you're so quick to say this, and this about Wendy. But when the heat is returned back to you, you cannot handle it. You know, it's just a joke. And then Wendy tells Giselle, oh, Giselle, you're gonna bring your luggage? Eventually, Karen and Wendy end up leaving, and Giselle wants to show everybody the house from the inside. So she takes Candace inside along with Escala, but as they're trying to, you know, walk down the steps, I mean, not the steps, the concrete, you know, they have high heels on, and Escala's like, okay, we can go. you know what? No, I'm gonna go. She's like, you could just send me a video, send me a TikTok, send me a Snapchat actually, or put it on Instagram, make a boomerang or something, but I'm heading home. So I'm gonna be back when there's stairs and everything doesn't look like a jungle gym. So goodbye. She walked her way out the house and left. And if y'all paid close attention, if y'all stop it at the right time, did y'all see that those stairs, the spiral stairs that were like next to the house that were leading to nowhere? I'm like, why is that there? Just a mess. But, you know, I can't wait to see how the house ends up looking when it's done. And, you know, Giselle walks into the house with Candace. She's showing her around. Karen and Wendy outside, they're trying to get out, but they're stuck because Candace's car was the last one to park right behind everybody else's car, and Candace is inside the house. And Candace is like, you know what, Grace? You know, which is Giselle's daughter. She's like, can you go and just go drive my car and just, you know, take it out? And I'm like, Candace, I do not think you want to do that. Like, especially after what we just saw at the very beginning of the episode where she just ran over all those orange cones. I'm like, oh, I don't think that's the best thing you should do. But she gives her the keys and she's like, here you go, Grace. I trust you. Don't fuck up. So Grace, and you know, she does a good job. She tells Robin, oh, Robin, can you come in with me too, you know, for support? And I'm like, Robin is just going to make you crash even faster by her just being in the car and talking your head off. So, you know, good luck with that. But, you know, Grace does a decent job on getting the car out. And it wasn't until the end where we saw Candace inspecting the car like, okay, everything is fine. Wait a minute. Giselle, there's a scratch. There's a scratch on the rim of her car. I'm like, see, I told you not to trust her. And that was the episode, y'all. This is probably the best episode of the season. It was hilarious. It was a lot going on. What did y'all think of it? What did y'all think about everything that was being said in this episode? I mean, again, like I said, it was a lot. And next week, it seems like we're going into overtime even more. But again, y'all, let me know what y'all thought about this episode down in the comments. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Bye, y'all. Mwah.